children living in witches' camps, and those doing that in the northern Ghana have spoken of the daily struggles that they live with accessing basics of life. JoyNews' latest documentary, Serving the Witches, has blown the lid off the life of servitude that hundreds of these girls go through, working for their older relatives who have been accused of witchcraft. In the following report, JoyNews' Justice Bedu tells the story of the girls, the fact that some of them are denied education and left, marking time to the day they are handed out for marriage as child brides.
This was an event in December 2019 celebrating the closure of one of Ghana's largest witches' camps.
I humbly officially declared Nabule alleged witches' camp duly closed.
Setting over 50 women accused of witchcraft free to go back home. It was a happy day. Everyone in this village was in attendance, including the chiefs and even soothsayers who for years have been believed to have the power to pass a judgment on whether a woman is a witch or not. The women who have been living in these camps have been condemned to a life of bondage, torture, and sometimes murder. But the unheard dark secrets of Ghana's witches' camps are the stories of the hundreds of children and minors who live here. Some were actually born in these camps of bondage. Others brought in to live with women suspected to be witches.
Witchcraft accusation is deep-seated. These children who accompanied these women are also tagged as witches' grandchildren.
Ghana is heralded the world over as a shining example of a human rights oasis in a region noted for widespread human rights abuse cases. So why does this country still maintain camps for witches? As over 400,000 children of school-going age remain out of the classroom, these camps are worsening the problem.
If children are not in school in the camp, then it even makes it more serious.
What is needed to take these children out of these camps of abuse, which are ironically seen as safe havens away from persecution and brutality? This film lifts the veil off the dark, lonely world of the children living in Ghana's witches' camps. It's a Harmattan morning in Nabule. The weather is brutally harsh, dry, windy, and cold all at the same time. The town's children have come to gather around fire as dawn breaks. This is how to keep warm here. Mary, like many of the children here, are in the town not because they chose to. Their grandparents were accused of witchcraft. Some of the accused women are old, weak, and frail. Unable to do any chores on their own, they cannot survive in this camp without help. And these children were the ones forced to leave their homes so their weak grandparents could live in a witches' camp.
Ben furan lambu ala kambage bagbe kabi tan tanga ya bane won ya yo suane nta foke bi ngamle nta ben ya ba kin ya kunle ma jin yo no fokbe ke imban kunle ma ban kun ke imbe wiyanle ma ni naka bagbe ke ya yo suane mbam ka bagbe kabi tan nga ma fun be ke ba kin ya yo suane ma fin jo no bo ma fin yin ya ma njo te an konke oko un ka yin konke unja.
For 25 years, Naboli, located in the Gushegu district, has had only one claim to fame: the Naboli Witches Camp. A so-called deity here that could cleanse people of witchcraft became a safe haven for women who came from far and near to seek help after their communities banished them.
Well, joining us to explore this issue, also this latest documentary, is Margaret Brew Ward from Rights Campaign Group, Action Aid, and also on Skype from Tamale is Lamnatu Adam, who has been working in witches camps for about 2 decades. Let's start with you, Madam Brew. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. A lot of people get the sense of helplessness when they hear this story. These are stories that we've heard over and over again. I'm interested to find out what your initial assessment is. Hello? Looks like we're having a difficulty there with our resource persons, but looks like we do have Lamnatu on Skype. Lamnatu, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. You have been following this story for several years, I believe, and you have a deeper understanding. I asked first how people feel a sense of helplessness when they see this story. From where you sit, are we there at a point where we are helpless because we have tried everything and it's not working? Or do you see a real opportunity for us as a country to act, which we are not taking advantage of?
Well, good afternoon. I think that if you are at where I am, you become a little bit helpless. But then, of course, there's hope, because I know that there are other cultural inclined issues, like the FGM, like the troposis, that government commitment have been able to help solve. So I have hope that indeed, if government actually commits, especially with other key stakeholders, like our traditional authority, and then also with the other departments that are for our protection, then indeed we'll be able to leave this helplessness.
In this helplessness, what, from your perspective, really can be done to help these girls? Now, look at it. You mentioned rightly that this is a culturally sensitive matter. These girls are there to support these elderly women. They call their grandmothers, sometimes their mothers. If they leave them, these women will also have a certain need that is not being met. But on the other side, we're looking at the interest of the children. How do we achieve that balance?
So you see, the first thing is that they shouldn't even get to the camp. Because sometimes when a woman at that age goes to the camp, it's very difficult for you to say that she shouldn't be helped. And so therefore, we should work harder to ensure that when women are accused, they are not sent to the camp. And so we have always said that for such accusation, it can still be sent to the police station. because we've noticed that for some of the accusations that end up at the police station, we don't get the women to be at the camp.
Okay.
And so it makes it quite difficult because these are grandchildren who need to serve their grandmothers.
And will you be able to say for sure that if these children are not serving their grandmothers in these places where they are branded as witches, they will be doing so wherever they live? Will they still have the opportunity to go to school? Will they still not be working? I lived with my grandmother, and my grandmother had a lot of impact on me. I mean, I learned a lot from my grandmother. So I wouldn't say it's such a bad thing. But if even without these so-called camps, how will their lives be any better living with their grandmothers or without them?
Now, you must know that even though the camps are a safe haven, they are not a comfortable home or place. And once a woman is there, she's denied other support systems that she would have gotten at the family or at home. And so because they are away from home, they seem to lose a lot of family support system. And sometimes where they are, it makes it difficult to access other amenities. And so it is not bad to live with a grandmother. I lived with an auntie, I grew up with an auntie, but not in a secluded or no, excluded place. And I didn't have it in my mind that I was a I was a niece or whatever of an alleged. And so that alone, it's quite disturbing.
So again, we can talk about the ideal situation, but we also know that the facts on the ground is that the people within this community sometimes are not ready to accept these people. From what you know, what are some of the things that government agencies have done so far trying to integrate these people back in society? Last year, we reported on the closure of that particular witch camp in Naboli. Are the people able to live with them right now?
Yes, so what we did at Abuli camp was called the relatives of these women, which is difficult for them to go back. And so we talked with the chief, and the chief was able to give them place, to integrate within the community. And so they are living well in the community.
Okay.
We have had issues of reaccusation, in another camp. But that is not to spoil the soup, to say that reintegration is not an option. I think that if government is truly committed and we work harder to ensure that the inflow of these women to the camp is, kind of reduced, and then we do gradual reintegration, I'm sure we'll make a way. So we just need government commitment to resource the human rights, like Shrine, for example, so that they're able to support the process to them.
I know you work with these government agencies, I'm sure, and I'm sure it will be one of the agencies will be the Ministry for Children and Social Protection. What can you say about their interventions so far, and what more they can do from your perspective to deal with this situation?
Well, our interaction at the district assembly is that they support, renew the health insurance of these women, and some of them are actually on leave, but not all of them. But at the regional reintegration level, where we have CSOs like ActionAid Ghana, September the Go Home Project, the Department of Gender is also a member of that committee, as well as Dove and Shrine. And we also have, representative of Revered Chief, and then also the clergy. And so together as a committee, we are, doing community level sensitization. We are also supporting communities, to understand the right violations that comes with accusation. I think in the last year, Star Ghana Foundation also supported us to work with district assembly to get bylaws on the protection of women towards witchcraft accusation. So that's what I can say for now. But then there is a roadmap which the regional reintegration, in a bigger format, develop. And I think that if we come back to it and government shows its commitment, we can really work well with that roadmap to get to where we.
I'm really hopeful that that works, because looking at those who were moved from Naboli and the fact that community engagement has worked, hopefully more of that community engagement will work. But finally, before I let you go, Lamnatu, there are other children. I think about out of over 20 of them, only 13 of them are in school. The rest who are not in school, who were freed along with their grandmothers or so from Naboli. Is there any intervention for these little girls? Going to school in this area is free. All they have to do is get someone to take them, I believe.
Yes, so we are in discussion. Some of them, it is just that they are able to stay close and be able to find something for them to live. So you see that even if education is free and she wakes up, she still needs to find something, for her, the grandmother, to take before she goes. So those are the complications we are looking. That when accusation comes, it is not just the woman. I mean, it has serious repercussions. So we're in discussion. I'm sure we're going to follow up to be sure that they're.
Okay. That sounds to me like a very one of the easiest things that we can do perhaps for these children at this point, just take them to school. But are the parents, are these women not on the LEAP program?
No,
they are not.
Majority of the women at the camps are not on LEAP.
Okay. Well, perhaps a lead there as well as to how we can help them. Perhaps if we get them on the LEAP, they will be able to have something small that will take care of these children as and when they want to go to school. And they should, really. But Lamnatu, God bless you for the work you're doing for these women up north. Lamnatu Adam there, she's been working with alleged witches who are camped in places, especially in the northern part of the country. We're looking at girls who are not going to school and girls who are serving these alleged witches. How can we take them to school? How can we put their grandparents on the LEAP program? That's the government intervention for people with extreme poverty, at least to support them so they can support these children go to school, which is for free, by the way.